dude.
I'm going to start calling you Mr. Energy.
Do you like my tomatoes? You like my tomato plant?
Nice tomatoes.
Nice tomatoes, eh?
Nice potatoes, nice tomatoes.
She's got some nice tomatoes on her there.
And he's got some nice potatoes.
He's got some nice potatoes. Just imagine, we're making a meal for Polsky or Gorky already.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes and potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Mr. England, Mr. British man.
Bloody right. Brexit is over. That mare's not long lived for this life. What? Say, pip, pip.
Pity.
Pity. Yeah, they're all quite screwed up on Brexit over there.
I guess it's just nuts, eh? Like they're totally...
Most people really don't care.
Is this a sign that this civilization is an advanced civilization?
I think it's a sign that this civilization is misnamed a civilization. It should be
uncivilization.
It's an uncivilized bunch of wankers, basically doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
You know, Saudi Arabia got a couple of drones sent at it.
Chalk one up for the Houthis. Yeah,
but
the
Houthis. We're so reliant on Saudi oil.
I'm not.
No, Canada is.
No, I'm not. I'm Canadian.
And, this is what they're saying. With all our natural resources, we have no real energy.
So let me get this straight. Everybody's freaking out and screaming for climate change. We lose 5% of the world's oil supply, and that's a bad thing? I mean, can you reconcile these two initiatives?
Here's the problem. People will not stop lining up at the gas pump. That's the problem.
Okay, well, tell you what. What if we wipe out 100% of the Earth's oil supply? Then what?
Then we'll be using solar energy.
Solar energy, exactly. And wind power. Because necessity is the mother of invention.
I thought Mother Nature is the necessity of the invention.
Mother's the mother of necessity.
I just want to. You see how we're getting more and more pigeonholed. Like we're being herded. Like we're cats being herded.
Lemmings off the cliff.
You know what? You have to admit it's hard to see how this is all going to unfold.
Well, I think it's pretty clear to me. It's extinction event, I think, is what they call it.
A mass extinction. We've had 5.
Well, that we know of.
Numbers that we know of. Well, they're pretty sure it's 5.
Who's they?
Well, they can pretty well.
And what are they doing for data?
Data. Well, if we knew, we wouldn't have to ask the question.
Well, I suppose that's true.
Whatever that means.
Is that like one of those answers like, well, it is what it is?
Yeah.
How have you been, Ed? I haven't seen you in a whole week.
I know. You haven't seen me in a hole for a week.
That's true.
Anyway, no, you know what?
Have you been drinking?
I didn't drink yesterday.
No. So
I'm officially on the wagon, as you are.
And have you been smoking any weed?
A little bit.
I've stopped vaping.
The vaping thing may not be a good thing.
I'm pretty sure that if you boil an essential oil and inhale the vapor that comes off of that, and it's an essential oil, the lungs are not designed to absorb and process oils.
That's.
I suspect that's probably just doesn't matter what kind of oil it is, it's just fucking
even
bad
olive oil,
for you.
For instance, if you wanted to vape some olive oil.
Well, I mean, smoking tobacco, you're burning the tobacco, you're combusting it. That has its own set of bad shit for you.
Yeah.
But vaping is not the solution that everybody's been cracking it up.
It can't be. It can't. You know what? Taking a big pull on whatever that's burning and holding it in your lungs for a long time, I don't give a shit what you're doing. It can't be good.
No.
It can't be good.
No.
Ask John Wayne.
John Wayne?
Yeah.
What about the Marlboro Man?
Yeah, what about the Marlboro Man?
What about him?
Wasn't John Wayne the Marlboro Man for a while?
No.
For a while, yeah.
No.
Yes, he was. Then he died of cancer, lung cancer.
No. Then he became John Wayne. Because wasn't he somebody else before that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, we have a show today, and let's see, what's the show all about? Well, we've got opening comments. I think that's what we're doing right now. We have some news coming, and that will be coming up very shortly.
And it'll be read by our new news nurse.
Laura McCallum is going to read the news. Then we're going to hear from Brad Paulus, who is an instructor at the Ted Rogers School of Management at Ryerson University.
Right.
Interesting. Then Dmitry Zaitsev will be here. He's our investment analyst, and we're going to be talking about the price of oil and how investors can play volatile oil prices on the weekend. When shit happens on the weekend, then you just sit here as a ringside seat and watch. Price of oil goes up, you can't buy it, you can't sell it, unless, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, things open up. Like the commodity markets open up at 6 o'clock on Sunday night. That's when I think trading starts in Australia because it follows the clock. Yeah,
Sydney. So we got to open an account that allows us to trade the Sydney market.
You can trade those futures anywhere. You just need
but you can't trade them in Canada when the market's closed.
You can trade the futures.
No, you
got to call somebody up. There's a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it.
You can't do it online.
I used to call my commodity broker at 4 in the morning and say, you know, I know you're trying to sleep, but more important things to do here: buy some futures.
Buy some future. I need to think about my future. Buy me a future.
Buy me a future.
Give me a good future.
Give me a good future price.
A good future. Yeah. So what about the price of gold?
You know, if you looked at when gold peaked, okay,
September 11th, 2014. September 8th. Sorry.
It was. I'm talking about. You know, when it first took off here in early 2016, it peaked.
2016.
Yeah, it changed direction there. Okay.
You know what? We better get a chart up here instead of trying to use our memories.
If you go back and look when gold peaked in 2016, which is what we just breached through, that was at the bottom of interest rates. And
no shit.
And as rates go down, gold goes up, and as rates go up, gold goes down, and we've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Whose NDI is it on?
That would be mine. Oh, neither is my microphone, obviously. Let's see. First, let's get the gold CFD. We'll look at the CFD. Have you ever traded CFDs, Ed? What do you mean?
CFD?
Yeah. Contract for differences.
Really?
Contract for difference, sorry.
No, never have.
No? It's not quite a future. If a future represents something in the future, this would be an immediate.
But immediate future, which is now.
Well,
now.
How
now, brown cow?
Are you trading right now?
No, I. You know what? No, I haven't. I traded a bit on Friday, I think, and I said, you know what? I got stopped out. I want to go long gold, but I'm going to wait for something to happen here. Maybe it started today because I obviously got out on Friday afternoon.
What do you mean, obviously?
Yeah, and then
you're obviously that smart.
No, I got out of gold, and gold rallied big today.
Oh, so you missed out?
Yeah.
Fuck, pussy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the gold chart right here, Ed, and you can't see me, you tosser. Let's see. Enter code. No, we don't want that. Telegram. No, we don't want that. Let's go Control X here. Control Q there. Don't save. What the hell? Don't save. Don't save. And yeah, my NDI is on and you can't see it. Okay. Let's kill it. Let's go NDI quit. Let's go. All right then. Let's put it back on now. Oh, you know what? I'm not on the right network. How about that? No, I am on the right network. GFN, right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. So.
Got me?
Wow. Why would Amazon get so pounded today? They're in the drone.
Amazon?
They're in the drone game.
All right, let's look at this gold chart.
Okay.
Let's go look at some news. How about some news? Let's have the news. Here's Laura McCallum with.
Here's what's making cannabis headlines this Monday, September 16th, 2019. Halo Labs Inc. announced that it has entered into a bulk supply agreement with Caliva to provide bulk distillate, bulk live resin, and live resin packaged as finished products. The agreement specifies pricing and minimum quantities per order by product category of 5 kilograms or more. Caliva holds 14 total cannabis licenses, placing products in more than 200 stores statewide and servicing roughly 700,000 total customers throughout California. Caliva produces approximately 11,000 pounds of cannabis each year and tens of thousands of more cannabis products. RavenQuest Biomed Inc. has signed a joint venture agreement with the Not So Gentle Tea Company to develop, market, and sell teas and similar products infused with THC and CBD in Canada. RavenQuest and Not So Gentle Tea Company will introduce a unique brand of teas and specialty beverages for consumers. Valens Growworks Corp. has entered into an agreement to supply cannabis oil derivative products to medical cannabis by Shoppers Drug Mart. Valens will immediately begin production of gel caps and tinctures with further expansion of product offerings to include vaporizer cartridges, topicals, and other desired products as permitted by sale by Health Canada regulations. Flower One Holdings Inc. announced that the operational launch of its technologically advanced cannabis production lab, which will operate alongside the company's 400,000 square foot greenhouses. The new production space encompasses approximately 55,000 square feet and can readily consume between 3,000 to 5,000 pounds of biomass per week, with distillate processing from its ethanol extraction train in the 100 to 150 liter per week range. Cresco Labs Inc. signed a purchase agreement to acquire certain assets from Trike Companies, a vertically integrated seed-to-sale cannabis company. The purchase includes a 6 Reef dispensary locations in Nevada and Arizona, expanded licensed cultivation and process capacity in Las Vegas and Phoenix, and entry into the Utah market. Leviathan Cannabis Group Inc. announced a strategic expansion in the Republic of Colombia, South America. Leviathan has established LCG Holdings Inc., a business venture to cultivate hemp and manufacture cannabidiol isolate and other extracted products in this agriculture region. Leviathan has a 65% ownership interest in LCG. MedMen Enterprises Inc. announced the launch of delivery from all Nevada locations, bringing the company's retail experience to the consumer at home. MedMen's delivery service includes over 300 products. The company first launched the service last month in California and expects a nationwide expansion in the near future. Nutritional High International Inc. will showcase a range of new products and brands throughout its wholly owned wholesale distributor Calyx Brands Inc. at next week's Hall of Flowers trade show in Santa Rosa, California. The new brands include St. Ides pre-rolled tobacco-free blunts and Nuvada vaporizers. To keep up to date on all cannabis news, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
If you'd like, hey, how about that? Yeah, big news, lots of news. What news? What news, say? Interesting little tidbit that the Canadian government or the Ontario government lost $42 million on $106 million in sales in the first year of cannabis sales.
Jeez.
Let me get this straight. They don't have to grow it. They don't have to buy it. And all they have to do is sell it. And they lost $42 million on 100. How is anybody going to make money in this industry if the bloody government can't even, with free weed and
Yeah.
you know, that's a pretty interesting phenomenon, don't you think?
That's very interesting.
I think the government should grow all the weed and just give it away. Actually, I think everybody should just grow weed and the government should just keep the hell out of it. Don't you think?
I know.
Did you hear that Purdue Pharma filed for bankruptcy? Those Sacklers are really fucked now.
Well, they're the people behind OxyContin, right?
Yeah. Have you tried it?
No, I never had it. I've never done an OxyContin.
Pretty sleepy stuff.
Sleepy?
Yeah.
Addictive?
I didn't find it so. I was eating it for days and days on end. I finally had to double the dose, and I'm only at 3 pills a day right now. So no, it's not addictive.
It's not addictive. Only 3 pills a day. I've been on this thing. I've been on 3 pills a day now since the beginning, and I've not increased my dosage one bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were billionaires for a while, weren't they?
They probably still are.
Of course they
are.
are.
The lawsuits haven't really rolled in yet as extensively as I'm sure they're going to.
Well, I'm sure one of the provinces announced they're going to sue, right? Saskatchewan, I think.
Yeah, going to sue the Sacklers or Purdue Pharma. Well, I guess they're one and the same, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
You know, I mean, look, we live in a world dominated by pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals.
We really do.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, you think about what they can make a drug for and sell it to the public for. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a very friendly thing to do to your fellow human being.
What, you mean like tranquilize them?
Well, basically charge them a fortune so they can stay alive.
Wow, that sounds like you're a real human being, Ed.
Oh, well.
And that's
Yeah,
just,
I think-
a real human being has no place in capital markets.
Where do I go now?
Well, I don't know.
To a bar?
I don't know. How about my NDI in there? Yeah, look at that. Okay, so now we've got a gold chart to look at.
Yeah.
And like this is, I think I've got to up the scale here of my.
You gotta make sure
because nobody can see this, right?
What's the
Settings.
is that a daily? Probably.
Hold on. Let's go. Where the hell's my font? Appearance. Let's take this font up to 28. Oh, there we go. Now we can see this. Now we got ourselves an on-screen. Okay. Look at this that happened. So this is today at 1:52 in the afternoon. A sale of gold takes it down. $2. That's nothing major. The thing I was doing an exercise and I was looking at the gold trading and these contract for differences market, which is basically, I don't know what, just kiting gold back and forth, spot market for the most part. And you can always see these huge sell-offs that happen in the space of like less than 30 seconds. And the stock and the gold price goes down by like 10%. Not 10%, 5%.
$90?
5%?
$75.
$75. No, maybe not that much. $20.
Maybe
2%.
a tenth of 1%. We've gone from 10% to a hundredth of that.
2%.
Okay.
2%.
I know.
$30.
We live in a world dominated by the machine.
I know.
La machine.
La machina. Yeah, so, you know, the thing is, price of gold arguably should be looking for lower levels right now, considering that Mario Draghi announced on the weekend that he's going to fire up the old...
What, the EQ?
The $2 trillion.
That should make rates go up. I mean, gold go up.
No, but that's not what's been happening over the last few years. Quantitative easing and zero interest rate policy has driven gold prices low.
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
No, because...
So why is the gold price where it is?
Because in the last 10 days, the 10-year interest rate went from 142 to 190. In other words, there was a 48 basis point increase in about 2 weeks on the 10-year yield.
And that's why gold soared.
No, that's why gold soared. I think. That's my opinion.
Okay, so...
But I'm just saying gold soared and interest rates went up dramatically.
Which came first? The chicken or the egg?
They're doing it simultaneously. Look at Deutsche Bank. Remember we were talking about how it couldn't catch a bid?
Yeah.
It rallied from 6 1/4 to 8.50.
Okay, so tell me this. Why is the interest rates rallying when all of the governments have committed to lower interest rates?
Well, you know what? I'll just say this. If it was easy...
Everyone would be doing it? Oh, you got a call coming in, do you?
I didn't know it was I thought it was your phone.
I thought it was my phone too. That's probably why they don't have phones on the set in real newsrooms. Like
Right. Is that why? Okay.
That's pretty much why. How do you like this new shirt? Eh?
It's beautiful.
bright, eh?
It's beautiful.
Thanks. Got it out of a dumpster in London. Took it off a guy. He gave me the shirt off his back. What? Oh! You know we have a guest today, Ed. Brad
Yes.
Poulis from Ryerson is here, and here's that conversation.
Welcome back. My guest today is Brad Poulis, lecturer and ambassador at Ryerson University for their cannabis programs. Welcome, Brad.
Hi.
So, the program, you were telling me it's been around for about a year. Let's talk about it.
Sure. We started last year with a single course called The Business of Cannabis. Interestingly, our course code is CZEN 420.
CZEN 420.
Yes.
Did you have anything to do with the
actually,
naming?
It was my boss at Ryerson who came up with the notion of naming all of our courses with a 420 number on them. I can't take credit. But anyway, we started a year ago with this course called The Business of Cannabis.
Okay.
We've now run that, well, we're in our 4th semester running that one.
Right.
And then as of this semester, we also have a course that specifically digs really deeply into the law and the regulatory matters side of things. And we have another one that is called The Science of Cannabis that looks more at medical issues, indications, contraindications, dosages, that sort of thing, as well as a little bit on the plant science.
So if people are thinking about attending this kind of program, you're looking at really the business behind cannabis in all its aspects. Is that right?
So the course that I teach certainly is very, very heavily aimed toward business people, either people who would like to enter the industry from another industry, regulated or not, maybe a marketer from Coca-Cola that would like to move into cannabis. So to give themselves a leg up on the competition, our course gives them a really good overview of the industry, the regs, how you market in this very restrictive world, all of that sort of stuff. And then the other group that we aim it at, I'm an entrepreneurship professor, and this course actually resides in the entrepreneurship department at the Ted Rogers School. It's aimed at people who would like to start a business in the cannabis world. And in fact, the project that we make them do is a lean startup business plan for a cannabis-based business.
So there's some hands-on applications. How closely are people involved with cannabis? Do you visit sites? What kind of extracurricular stuff do you do for the students?
Sure. First off, we have several industry leaders come in and do guest talks. In addition, the Business of Cannabis course, mine, includes a tour of an actual cannabis production facility later in the semester.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Which site do you visit?
We've been to a couple. So we've been to Terrace End in Mississauga in the past, and we've also been to Believe in Hamilton.
Great. So tell me a little bit more. It's a night school program. How long does it run?
So it's a regular university course. So university courses are typically 13 weeks, 3 hours a week, just like
Standard
when we went. That part hasn't changed. The tuition's a little higher. You're right, it runs at night. The courses are all through the Chang School right now, which is our continuing education school. And most of the people who take them actually are not day school students. They're people who are interested in learning more about cannabis, but come from outside the university.
And if people wanted to find out more information about the program, what's the easiest way to Google it?
I would just go to ryerson.ca and in the search bar just put good old cannabis, and we'll be the top hit for sure.
So tell me a little bit more about the program. Can you walk me through a semester and what people can expect?
Sure. So we kind of take a functional approach to the course. Many of the units, every unit being a week of 3 hours in class or somewhere, we sort of take a functional approach in that we've got a unit on the law, we have one on marketing, we have one on operations, we have one on finance and accounting. And then we also sort of take an overview of the industry. So we do a deep dive into the regs and the actual bill C-45 and the Cannabis Act, the Ontario Cannabis Act as well, because we're in Ontario. We look at international opportunities. And because I'm an entrepreneurship professor, and in order to get approval for this course, I had to put some entrepreneurial content in as well. So we actually take a couple of weeks and go through lean startup theory, design thinking, sort of the state of the art, if you will, of entrepreneurship education as it stands today.
So is the expectation that somebody comes out of the program and starts a cannabis business?
Either they'll start a business or they'll jump into a job in the cannabis industry. We try to work with these two groups. So people in a functional job, probably lower to mid-level, or people who are interested in starting a cannabis business, one or the other.
Right. Not everyone's interested in starting a business, but in order to join a company, it's often good to have some experience, especially in a new industry that it's still a little bit of a wild, wild west.
Yeah, and it's typical in our class that we'll have around half that want to start a business and around half that are in industry or government. I've had people from all levels of government in my class in the past year that are interested in either perhaps going and joining that side of the government or maybe jumping out and jumping into the private sector.
And as far as the program is concerned, it started when?
We started a year ago in
Okay.
September of 2018 with the single course, The Business of Cannabis. We've run that now for a full year 3 times. We're in our 4th semester with that one. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got the Science of Cannabis and then Cannabis Business and Law course that does a really deep dive into the legal side.
So tell me about some of the feedback you're hearing from the students who've gone through it. Are they able to get work in this industry?
Yeah, so I've had great feedback in that sense, and I encourage all of my students to share their successes with me. That's just my general policy.
Yeah.
So I've had several emails from people saying, yeah, I've landed a job in the industry. More exciting for me is we've actually curated real businesses out of the course as well.
That sounds really interesting. Can you give us a few examples?
Sure. I can think of 2 beverages. Hopefully both will be launched this fall.
Okay.
One is a kombucha-based beverage with infused with CBD, and then the other one is more of a sports drink called Daybreak, and it's also a CBD-based beverage. And the one I really like is actually a bud and breakfast in Jamaica.
Bud and breakfast.
A bud and breakfast. It's exactly what it sounds like.
I don't know what that sounds like. I've never heard of that. What is it?
This is a Jamaican-based business that is a bed and breakfast that also might include some cannabis.
So, like a joint with a cereal bowl.
Also, an experience in Jamaica. So
Okay.
tours of cannabis facilities.
So not just a place to
education,
sleep.
Not just a place to sleep and smoke.
Let's back up. You said an energy drink.
So,
Or is it
but-
energy drink or sports drink?
A sport. I would call it a sports drink.
What kind of sports do you want to have cannabis with?
It's actually becoming very, very popular. The notion of taking cannabis and then working out, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for some reason has really adopted the use of cannabis prior to working out or even sparring. And one of the reasons is it's the same mechanism that actually causes a little bit of short-term memory impairment. That same mechanism actually allows one to focus. If you use a small amount of cannabis prior to something like a workout or a sparring.
I know with protein shakes and things like that, there's things that you're supposed to have before, there's things that you're supposed to have during, there's things that you're supposed to consume after. Do you see the cannabis products touching on each of those areas? Like, is there a pill I'm supposed to have during a workout and then a drink after? Or are there some fusion things happening with maybe protein as well, because it's an energy drink?
I've definitely seen before and after. I'm actually not familiar with anything that you would actually take during a workout. But let's face it, if you take it immediately before the workout, that's to help you during the workout. That's the whole idea behind it.
Right.
There are obviously, if you look at the regs, there are things you're not allowed to add to these beverages. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I definitely think, since protein's not on that list, I definitely think we will see a fair number of products like that come the new year.
So the Jamaica business, the Bud and Breakfast, this is a Canadian, someone in your program had this idea?
Correct. It's actually one of my students from the entrepreneurship department who chose to take the course as just to help them get this business off the ground.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Brad. Really appreciate it. And if you're interested in joining the Ryerson Business Program for Cannabis, go to ryerson.ca, and the course code is CZEN420.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at midasletter.com. All right, looking at these cannabis charts is not a heartwarming experience right now, I can tell you. Everything is down. Down, 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 down. Oops, let's pull that in one side.
Wheat's having a nice day. It's over
Well,
37.
I mean, in terms of the indexes, so
I know,
the
the
large
Italian
cap is
indices.
down 0.79%, not really that bad. The small cap index is down 4.38%, that's bad. The CSE index is down 2.57%, that's not so bad. That's pretty bad, though. And the venture index is down 1.28. Let's see who's leading the charge on the large cap index here. Canopy Growth actually up 1.73% at this hour. Green Thumb Industry is up 5.78% to 1336, up 73 cents. Hexocorp is added 0.71%, up 4 cents. The rest are red. And the biggest loser today, Aurora Cannabis. Did you see those earnings? I'm really feeling for my friend Cam Batley. Obviously, internal communications were not running at their optimum when he was on our show.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Well, and
You're
so
breaking up.
my
Sorry,
heart
did you
goes
say
out to
the
Cam.
stock's going up?
Yeah.
No.
So they missed their earnings. Obviously, nobody's happy about that, and quite a surprise there.
Yeah, well, maybe they should be bottling the marijuana so that because the LCBO makes money.
The LCBO makes money?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because they keep forcing you to drink.
Forcing you to drink.
They do.
Why? Really?
They put specials on all the time.
Oh.
You walk in there, there's a special and say,
It's
what?
a special. Drink this now, motherfucker. I'm going to shoot you right between the eyes.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yes, that article was Ontario government loses 42 million. I posted that in the chat on YouTube rather. But who was it here who said zippity doodah. 3 JP Morgan traders charged for massive gold market manipulation. That's the one I'm going to post next because that's also...
Yeah, that's. I'd like to know exactly what they did and what the ramifications are, because this might give gold a much better bid going forward.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
So...
Maybe they were manipulating it up.
No, they were... Well, as I recall having a conversation with Mr. Sprott one time, and he said, oh no, they're manipulating it to the upside and the downside. They're just manipulating it. So here it is. This is yet another example where all of the conspiracy theorists who have been more or less maligned for pointing to the fact that there's a gold manipulation underway are once again vindicated. Looking on my NDI here, there's the headline. JP Morgan traders charged by the U.S.
Yeah,
with
but that was on
rigging.
September the 16th.
That's today, Ed.
Oh. That little levity.
What, are you living in the moment again?
I'm trying to... But it was like that this morning. Give me some fresh fucking news, would you?
But interestingly enough, the U.S. Justice Department said Monday the 3 men ripped off market participants and even clients as they illegally moved prices for gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. The indictees include Michael Nowak, 45, who ran JP Morgan's precious metals desk. Now, JP Morgan is one of the largest participants in the precious metals market. And so, yeah, when we say there's clear evidence of market manipulation, generally it looks like we're pretty much right.
So it sounds like there's been a perpetration committed.
Though it does seem like it takes the mainstream financial media at least 10 years to catch up with us fringe lunatics, which is a bit of a relief because you get what you pay for.
Well, especially if the traders are, within 10 years of leaving the planet, then they're laughing.
Yeah. How?
Because they're not going to get caught for 10 years.
Well, that's a good point.
Maybe that's why they're acting with impunity.
Yeah, well, it took off a whole 0.6% of JP Morgan's share price as of 10:30.
Yeah.
Let's see how JP Morgan's doing right now, actually. I'm going to pull up that chart. Let's just see here. Full featured chart. I almost said, what's the symbol of JPM? And then my brain clicked in briefly. Oh, look, JP Morgan's now up. Let's go to the one-day look here.
Wow, look at that chart. Holy smoky.
1 day. Oh, that's
What
one
kind
day
of
interval.
Well, we got to follow this story to see what kind of fines are going to be levied.
Now look at this. JP Morgan hits a bottom. Oh, let's see. Okay, so this is the 1 day. Oh, let's go to the start of the day. All right, so she opens up and is down to 118 from 120, so that's quite a bit more than 0.6%. And now it's at 118.94, still down from its last close of 120.25. So boy, that really took the wind out of JP Morgan's sails.
Jeez.
Everybody must be anticipating a really hard slap on the wrist for JP Morgan traders. That seems fair. They shouldn't go to jail. They're white-collar criminals.
Yeah.
They should be extended a deferred prosecution
Well, did you see? Okay, speaking of people going to jail, and I haven't followed the story, but you know how there's been people trying to bribe people to give their children better.
Felicity Huffman did 14 days.
Is that what she got? 14
Yeah,
days.
14 days.
14 days in the slammer.
14 days in the hole.
Yep. That could be like a good thing. Maybe you're thinking,
Well,
hey, I'm
she's
getting
gonna
away.
get laid.
I'm getting away from my family. I'm getting away from everything. I can
I
just
don't have to do the cooking.
No, everything's done for you. Do
Exactly.
you know what they say? They say it costs about $325,000 to keep a prisoner in prison for a year.
Really?
I don't know if that's the U.S. or Canada.
$325,000.
Yeah.
To keep you in a box.
Keep you in prison.
Now that doesn't make any sense. So 325,000. Let's divide that by 365. We're going to have to refer to a calculator.
It's $1,000 a day.
365 divided by. Sorry, what was it? 325,000.
Yeah.
No, it's 325,000 divided by 365. You idiot.
Yeah. So it's about nine grand. $900 a day.
325,000 divided by 365. Yeah, $890 a day.
What did I say? 900. Sorry for doing it quickly.
So $890 a day. I don't know about you, Ed, but have you ever stayed in a hotel room that costs $890 a day?
Only when you're paying.
Boom, boom.
No,
Boy,
no. I don't think I have. I don't think I'm a little bit more of the frugal side. Not.
You like to stay in like an Airbnb.
I like to stay at the Mission.
At the Mission, free.
Well, good luck.
Really?
Oh, it's
not free?
Wild. Well, I had a buddy that stayed at, and he said, crazy shit happens in there.
Really?
Really crazy.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because they're all nuts. That's
Really?
why. Well, a lot of drugs.
Well, but so interesting. So Felicity's getting 14 days in an $890 per night hotel room, basically. So that's my question. How can it be so?
I don't know. Look, I'll
They're
do
all in a box. There's a big fence around it. They can't really get out.
Yeah, I think you know what I think it is. I think it's basically there's lots of charges, lots of staff, there's administrators, bureaucrats, all the politicians. People got to get paid off, man.
So basically, everybody's getting greased. Boy,
in more ways
isn't
than
it
one.
not remarkable?
In more ways than one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't bend over and pick up that. So, isn't it remarkable how corrupt our world is? Like Justin Trudeau didn't show up for the McLean CBC debate.
No.
Just did a no-show.
Yeah.
Why? Because he doesn't want to answer questions about the S&C Lavalin thing and his attempt to pressure then Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould on the S&C Lavalin thing. And he's going to hang out to dry for that anyways. I read in the, I can't remember what paper it was, that the Canadian electorate was interpreted as being grumpy because they weren't happy about either of the two main choices. You know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to vote Green. Which in another...
What, are you going to take us some money and bribe them?
No!
That's kind of voting green, isn't it? Green! Give me some green!
Yeah. No, I'm going to vote for the Green Party.
I don't know.
The Green Party was traipsing through my neighborhood a couple weeks ago, and they all had these flags on the back, friendly as fuck. I thought, now why wouldn't they be able to do at least as good a job as Justin Trudeau? And I bet you they don't even know the guys who could corrupt them.
But don't you think when they've printed so much fiat currency in the world, and I mean there's tons of it around. If you look at the list of billionaires and look at net worths and you look at the
fraudulent market,
the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, which is widening.
Yes.
Like you get the CEO of a company now makes 100 times more than a guy that works there.
Right.
Right. And if you think about all this,
actually,
printing,
could have just stopped at a guy that works. CEOs don't really work. What do you call this?
Look,
hey, I'm working hard here. I'm on the phone.
When you've printed so much money, no one can take their eye off the prize. The prize being the money.
Right.
So once there's that much out there, it doesn't the objective of trying to make the world better, that stops. Now it's all about how do I get some of that money. That's what I think.
Well, I hear you. I hear you.
You know what I mean? Look at what goes on.
Yeah.
Look at what politicians are worth when they get into major politics, and what are they worth when they leave. That's all you got to know. If you could somehow get
What are they worth when they're dead?
Zero.
That's not necessarily true if you're related to them.
Well,
They're worth more dead than alive.
Listen.
This is the really funny thing. The more money you've got, to the people immediately around you, you're worth more dead than alive. Because they can't get your money as long as you're alive. As soon as you die, the fight begins and they're all fighting for it. But you're worth more dead than alive.
Wild, yeah.
So the pursuit of wealth actually inculcates, there's our word of the day,
I love it. I love it. Is that like
Inculcates.
repetition? Inculcates over and over again?
No.
No? What does it mean?
Inculcates is kind of to inspire to emerge organically.
Okay.
I got to look this up now. Actually,
Inculcate.
I can't
thought
remember
it meant
what
something
it
that
means.
was repeated over and over again.
Inculcate.
INCULCAT.
Definition. Instill by persistent instruction.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again. So, yeah.
That's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, so there you go. That's, does that work then? Does persistent wealth, does wealth persist in inculcating a desire on the part of your relatives that you're worth more dead than alive? Or perception thereof?
Well, let's say let's say you were penniless, you were, whatever. You had
Shiftless.
Nothing. You had nothing. You're 68 years old, like I am going to be very soon.
What? When? Your birthday's coming up? 68.
Soon, yeah. But I mean, look at if you had a lot of money, you'd probably think, how can I prolong this? And you can't.
Had a lot of money.
And yet, if you were really, things were going not well, and you're depressed, you'd say, oh hell, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, see, I never want to be ready to go. I always want it to be like, well, I could stick around if you'd let me for a little longer. But I'm going to do some farming, I've decided.
Right.
See, here's the interesting thing. I want to make a quick note about about this ETN. This is an exchange-traded note here, got up on my chart. This is the ProShares Trust 2 Ultra Pro Triple X crude oil long ETF. Sorry, it's not an ETN, it's an ETF. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is supposed to perform at 300% at what the Bloomberg crude oil subindex does. So the crude oil subindex goes higher. And this thing opens up, it closes on Friday at 17 and change. It opens today at 21.82, and the whole day tacks on another $2.
Yeah.
So it could have bought it. But here's the thing. This is the thing I've noticed about these ETFs and ETNs is the fees that they charge you, even in an intraday trade, are huge. It says 0.95% is their average management fee, but I don't know what the hell they're doing. But they've taken.
But you're not talking about commission.
I don't know what it says. Expenses and fees.
No, you're not paying commission to them. The only commission you pay to. I'm just saying if you.
No, I'm not saying commission. No.
Yeah, you put your money.
Management fees.
Yeah, when you put your money. Look, and not only that, there's all this slippage. These things get reset.
Well, that's the thing. The ProShares 2 does its NAV calculation at 2:30 p.m. every day. So you want to be out of that thing before 2:30 rolls around.
Well,
because look at this. Look at this chart.
Yeah.
It's like okay. So here's 14. People are dumping, and 14.
People are dumping.
30. Oh well, look, somebody dumped it right there. Big candle to the downside. 14.30. Okay, so there's 2:30. That's when the NAV is set.
How about that?
And then after that, it just drifts lower. Why? Because there's no interest. Look at all the interest goes. Look at the volume. The interest disappears, and then this last bit of trading here in the last hour. That's all the people who don't realize that the NAV is recalculated at 2:30, and that there's no upside from 2:30 onward.
Well,
So that's the difficult thing about these ETFs and ETNs is you've got to read the prospectus because they are all got these little kinky things.
Well, look at it. Look at the chart of all of them. The bulls and the bears they all keep losing value. Then they get consolidated, and it starts all over again. This is you can't win these things because of all the fees and all the slippage.
Well, you can, but you've got to have one. You've got to have one hell of a move.
Yeah. Well, Well, you could have bought the gold ETF 3 months ago.
So this is the thing: if a fundamental event like the bombing of the oil processing plant in Saudi Arabia happens on a weekend, then the first thing you can do, like you could have caught the bulk of that upside in the oil price had you started trading oil in Sydney on Sunday morning at 6 p.m. Canada time, which would have been 6 a.m. Sydney time.
If you buy it, you'd have to know it was going to get bombed to make any real money.
No, but the bombing happened on what, Saturday?
Yeah.
And so you didn't need to know it happened, and then the markets opened a day later.
I know, but the gain was already reflected in those instruments. They don't.
No, but the oil price in Sydney didn't move till the market opened.
Right.
Because there's no market for oil's now at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Oil's not trading anywhere.
Where are you going to buy any? You can't buy anything at noon on Saturday. Where?
Exactly, that's my point. You can go to the gas station and buy a barrel of oil.
You see what these guys did, eh? They knew they were going to bomb it, and they loaded up on the things on Friday.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We should get our own drone and ship it over there and bomb the other half of that fucking thing.
Let's do some of our own shit. You know what? Let's not say too loud. Let's not say too loud.
Oh yeah, we probably shouldn't give away our plans on the air. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. What say?
What ETF should I be buying here?
Let's go bomb a refinery, Ed. Let's get our own drone. I got a drone. We'll strap a little firecracker to it and fly it right into a butane stack.
So gold's selling off here at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Is it selling off? Should we go to a gold chart again? Let's go look at the gold chart. Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted. That's the oil up. GOLD. Oh, CFD. There we go. Oh yeah, it's dropping like a hot potato. Okay, let's zoom in on that. Oh, good. Throw a mic on him. Yeah, okay, so...
I got the ETF here for Nugget up for 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you could have bought this at $14 in May, and it hit a high of 44. What's wrong with that? Is that not enough?
That's pretty good. That's, what, 300%?
The problem is when you look through the retro skeptoscope, Spectoscope.
Sounds like a bullshit meter to me.
Bullshit meter. Yeah, well, look, it's easy in back. Look.
Hey, did you know I'm going to be raising chickens this time next year?
Yeah.
We're going to have some fresh gossip bed.
You know what a pullet is?
Sure do.
Not that kind of pullet.
Anybody here want to do a little
pullet? Wait a minute.
That's a way to pull it, Ed.
Pullets.
Pull it. Male chicken under 6 months old.
Is it? Or is it I think the pullets are the layers.
No, that's a layer. Let's go see. Let's go look at the Google machine.
P-O-U-L-E-T.
Pullet.
P-O-U-L-E-T.
P-U-L-L-I-T.
P-U-L-L.
Pull it.
Space I-T. Pull it.
Which? Bam!
P-O-U-L-E-T. I think that's how you say it.
P-U-L-L-E-T.
Oh, P-U-L-L-E-T.
P-U-L-L-E-T. Pull it. A young hen, especially less than 1 year old.
But a young hen.
Not
a rooster.
But not a layer.
You said a male.
No, I said a layer.
Hell, all hens are layers.
No, not if they haven't started laying yet.
The roosters are the unlaid.
If they haven't laid an egg, they're only theoretical layers. Because how do you know you're not going to get a dud hen?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what's a good count for an egg for a chicken?
Good count?
Yeah, like how many a year they do. If they do 200 a year,
That's
eggs.
a good.
That's a good one.
That's a good
keeper. Don't throw that one back in.
What happens? What's it doing the other 165?
You can't. Nobody lays an egg every day.
Well, some chickens
No.
do. What?
No, they
no
don't.
chickens do.
Well,
I thought they had GMO modified chickens.
We had a chicken farm. I was the egg boy.
All right.
Cuckoo,
Is it
cuckoo.
time for us to? Is our next guest here? Hey, guess what? We're going to have Dmitry Zaitsev here in just a moment. But first, watch this.
Is he coming live?
Yeah, right here. Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on
Here are the
what?
headlines moving markets today.
If you were lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
And I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really.
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits. Hey, Dmitry Zaitsev here. He is the analyst with the Analysis. Dmitry, welcome. Good to see you again.
Happy to be here, James.
Okay, I want to talk to you about the price of oil and the movements in the price of oil and how us poor retail investors were not really able to play the move in the price of oil despite an obvious fundamental factor like the bombing of 5% of the world's oil processing capacity and it losing 5% of the oil as a result. And so how could we have made any kind of trade on that and made money from it?
Yeah, I think unless you had information about this strike specifically, I think even the institutional investors were caught off guard because the markets were closed over the weekend. And as soon as they opened, if you were short oil with the contract or if you were short energy in any way, shape, or form, you definitely got a clobbering.
Right, you got your ass handed to you.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's not take too much glee in the institutional traders who thus suffered. But all right, so what could we have done? Like we were looking just earlier before you got here, we were looking at the XXX long oil ETF oil U, I believe is the symbol.
Yeah.
And while the bulk of the move was on the open because it immediately priced in the difference in the oil price, which at that point I think was up 18% at 6 a.m. or at 9 a.m. this morning. So you could have still bought it because oil did move up a little higher throughout the day, and I think you could have bought that ETF at 21 and change, and you could have sold it at 230 when they do their NAV calculation for $1.50 higher. So that was really the only way that I saw with my limited intellect how I could have played it because I'm not an options or calls kind of guy and I'm not really that adept at futures, and besides we can't trade anything in our paltry local banking accounts anyways until the market opens at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to play something like that. I mean, if you knew this news was coming Friday, there's a lot of way out of the money options you could have bought. I wouldn't be surprised if someone close to the matter knew about this and maybe profited off something like this. From this point on, though, it's kind of a fundamental story. So the question now is, it's a lot of production that's offline. How long does it take to recoup it? The issue is, initially Saudi Arabia said that they would be able to get most of it back relatively quickly. Now it seems it might take a little bit more time, and that's why I think you kind of had that rally. Also the risk of geopolitical escalation. So what that means is if there's a strike against Iran, if there's another strike against Saudi Arabia, after one punch they can sort of muddle through it, but if more infrastructure gets hit and becomes a hot war, that's what I think the price is really pricing in. Just one more comment, if you look at the 2020 oil futures a year out or so, they're only pricing an extra $2 or so for like WTI. So that means that the market thinks that within the next couple of months, this supply disruption will either be, supplanted by other production from somewhere else, and that Saudi Arabia will be able to deal with it.
Sure. The price rise in oil, if that's, if that sticks, if it doesn't back to where it was, that brings a whole bunch of new oil into a profitable production scenario. And that's probably going to inspire that oil to come on stream, correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think people are thinking. And in general, there's some shut-in capacity in Saudi Arabia, in some of the OPEC producers, in Russia specifically. And if it's 1 million or 2 and things actually do get desperate, I think they'll be more than capable of relatively quickly bringing that production online. But if it becomes a very hot, fast war, it might take, I think the price of oil could go a lot higher. At this point, though, I think it's, you could chase it, but probably not the best way to play it, for sure.
Or we could just send our own drone over there and bomb it some more. Okay, well,
it's market manipulation there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so enough about oil then. Tell me about what's going on in the cannabis space. Today's pretty much a uniform down day, except for a few names in the large caps. What's going on in cannabis?
Yeah, so we've talked about this, I think, a couple of months ago. These cannabis producers have disappointed with their earnings. Many of the reasons are the rollout was bad, store counts were really low in places like Ontario, and the black market hasn't been stamped out, especially in places like BC. The whole lottery system was really poorly run, and so you had this huge issue there. And so what that means is you had this bad Q2, midway through this rollout, but looking forward to Q3, Q4, you're probably going to see better numbers come out of some of these producers because of all these issues being resolved and any internal bottlenecks. So that's one of the aspects of what was happening. Another one is that there's a lot of paper that's kind of hit the market, whether it's new issuances, whether it's stocks being unlocked, shares being unlocked, options being granted. And so what happens is it's a supply and demand situation as well. And I think on the street, a lot of people have many private deals that are slowly coming out or being delayed. And there's sort of not a lot more appetite. So if you think about a finite pile of money, there's only so much of that to go around, even if it's growing and there's more interest in the space.
Yeah, we were actually looking at talking about one of our companies today that, it's kind of like, well, we can't realistically expect participation in private companies from the incumbent investment banks who have been mostly financing the cannabis companies because they've become so jaded and so cynical as to the representations of cannabis CEOs and entrepreneurs who have been promising the world and ultimately delivering quite a subset of that. And even, so I don't want to belabor the point with Aurora, but to me it was like a real telling thing that one of the largest companies in the space could come on in, less than 30 days ago and project a expectation for a revenue number and then be so far off a mere 30 days later. That to me demonstrates that, well, this is a market that just doesn't have the experience and the management sort of depth to be able to describe what even their future looks like.
Well, it's surprising. You said 30 days ago this guidance came out, and the quarter, correct me if I'm wrong, when did it end? Was it June? I forget it. Or July? When's Aurora's quarter end?
I couldn't actually answer that right now.
Yeah.
So I was just referring to Cam's representation here.
But in terms of, sorry, I don't think I saw that, but in terms of guidance, I know they issued guidance and missed both of their, I think, guidances that they provided, right? And I think those guidances came at or just shortly after the quarter ended, the fiscal quarter ended, which beleaguers your point that clearly they're not fully on top of the operations of what's happening. Listen, I think we've hammered a point home many times that the U.S. producers have a much better set of catalysts, set of fundamental backdrops that warrant, I think, more investor attention. I don't think it's serious that the Canadian producers will be able to compete in a large way in the U.S. And if some federal banking and other regulatory things get passed, it's going to change things. Even so, even forgetting that, a lot of these guys are very well capitalized now too. There has been a lot of debt deals recently, which are non-dilutive. I think GTI, I think everyone had Harvest had something. Ianthus just recently had something where it's 8 to 10 to 12% debt that's non-dilutive, and the backdrop is so much better in the U.S. where you have For example, the fact that you have the full capture of the margin, right, from seed to sale.
Okay. So you think the U.S. is still in better shape relative to Canada?
Yeah, and there's a lot of other catalysts. For example, for Canopy and the rest of these names, in the last 13, 14 months, there's been multiple uplisting catalysts where they went to either the TSX or they went to the New York Stock Exchange. All these companies have already done that. So it's in the past.
Right.
And while I think Canada will eventually develop into a solid market, it might be another year or two while all these issues are kind of resolved. Black market slowly fades, whereas I think institutions, a lot of them can't even touch the U.S. producers or the U.S. Players, and so that there's a lot of barriers there that are catalysts in my view.
You bet. All right, Dimitri, great contribution as usual. Thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet on MidasLetter.com, please do so now. Just go to MidasLetter.com, fill in the little box with your email address, and give us your first name too. And there's a new thing coming. You can join our Telegram stock alert service, which is going to give you real-time alerts into stocks that are about to become the beneficiaries of large-scale marketing programs. A new way to play the market, if you will. Anyway, it is, eh? That's our show for today. We'll see you all tomorrow.